As 15 aspirants have been given the green light by the People's Democratic Party to contest its presidential primary election, Nigerians are anxious to know who will emerge as the party's candidate in the 2023 polls. Now, this is even as the call for a president from the southern extraction of Nigeria persists in the main opposition party, while others say if the southeast cannot get the ticket zoned to it, then the northeast should have the presidency. Since both geopolitical zones are yet to have democratically elected presidents, especially in the Fourth Republic. Now, the party has officially thrown open its ticket, contrary to its well-established zoning formula, and aspirants have been on campaign to woo delegates across the 36 states and FCT. Now, this has since changed the dynamics in the PDP and agitations for a southern presidency. We'll have analysis on these mixed issues and the future of Nigeria. I'm Sumner Sambo, and this is the Arise interview. Now, as the date for the conduct of presidential primaries in the People's Democratic Party approaches, leading contenders for the party's ticket are gradually emerging after the zero zoning decision of the National Executive Committee of the PDP. Now, since the party's decision, condemnation and mixed reactions have trailed it, especially from stakeholders in the southeast, who argue that there's a deliberate attempt to push out the zone from Nigeria's 2023 political calculation. Other observers say the southwest and south-south geopolitical zones have deliberately sabotaged and played out the southeast, and that instead of supporting their presidential aspirants, the southeast would rather support presidential aspirants from the northeast geopolitical zone, which is also yet to produce a president too. But first, let's take a look at the controversial issues of zoning, presidential aspirants, and the race for the PDP ticket as put together by our Rice correspondent, Amaka Ode.
Presidential aspirants on the platform of the People's Democratic Party are now ready to do battle for the opposition party's much coveted 2023 presidential ticket. This comes after months of campaigns from one state to another in search of the support of the party's over 3,700 delegates. Only one of the 15 aspirants screened can emerge as the flag bearer at the primary scheduled for May 28 and 29th. With the ticket thrown open to all zones, here are the choices before the delegates. From the north, Atiku Abubakar. He is a 75-year-old businessman who served as vice president from 1999 to 2007. He was the flag bearer of the PDP in 2019. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, the 59-year-old medical doctor turned politician, was president of the 8th Senate and former two-term governor of Kwara State. Aminu Tambowal, he is 56 years old and incumbent governor of Sokoto State. He was the former Speaker of the House of Representatives between 2011 and 2015. Bala Mohammed, 63, served as the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory between 2010 and 2015. He is the current governor of Bauchi State. Mohammed Hayatuddin, 67, recently joined the PDP. He is an economist and a former managing director of the FSB International Bank. And from the south, Ayim Pius Ayim, former secretary to the government of the Federation and former Senate president between 2000 and 2003. He is 61. Ayafayoshe, 61, served as governor of Ekiti State between 2003 to 2006 and 2014 to 2018. Chikwendu Kalu, 56, is the immediate past Speaker, Abia State Legislature and former legal advisor of the PDP. Dele Momodu is a 61-year-old media entrepreneur and publisher of Ovation magazine. Nyesom Wike, 59, the 6th governor of oil-rich River State, is also a former Minister of State for Education. Peter Obi is a 60-year-old businessman who was the vice presidential candidate of the party in 2019 and former governor of Anambra State. Sam Ohabunwa, 70 years old, pharmacist and former president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Tarila Diane Olive, 36, is the only female presidential aspirant in the party. Ugwu Okudili, believed to be in his 60s, and Udom Emmanuel, 55-year-old accountant and current governor of Akwa Ibom State. Two aspirants, Cosmos Ndukwe and Nwachukwu Anakwenze, were disqualified by the screening committee. The People's Democratic Party has announced that the two aspirants will forfeit the 40 million naira paid for nomination and expression of interest forms. With the date of the primaries drawing closer, the National Executive Committee is encouraging aspirants to get a consensus amongst themselves.
Well, for more on this, I'm now being joined in the studio by an astute political strategist and social scientist who is also the spokesman of the Bala Mohammed campaign organization, but someone who has also been speaking earlier on the agitations for a southern presidency, which is now mixed in the entire issues of the main opposition party after the zero zoning position of the PDP. Well, I'm glad to have Professor Udenta with me here.
Well, Sumner Sambo, it's a pleasure having you once more.
Yeah, I mean, we had to actually bring you back here because the last time we had you, it was before the next decision of the PDP. And now we're having you here to give us a clinical analysis on the decisions of the PDP and the future of the party, especially as it regards the 2023 presidency. Now, you had started this debate earlier on, way from last year earlier on, by saying, by saying that it's wrong for anyone from the southwest of the country or the south of the country to aspire for 2023 because there should be some sort of collaboration between these two geopolitical zones to give the southeast a soft landing. And eventually we saw presidential aspirants coming from these two zones. And we eventually saw you saying that if that is the case, then you as Igbo leaders would rather support someone from the northeast to become president of Nigeria. And eventually the PDP took a decision to make it a zero zoning.
Prophecy.
What has been your reaction since that decision of the PDP?
It's not actually a smiling matter, even though I'm persuaded that I should laugh a little bit. This is political prophecy at work, and it's founded on the logic of science, understanding the dynamics and trends in politics. What the party decided a while back in throwing this in open, and they said it was a unanimous decision by 37 members of the zoning committee representing each state of the federation. My state of Enugu State was represented by the governor. Benue was represented by the governor, not a local government chairman or a councillor. Taraba was represented by the governor of the state. That's the topmost cadre of party leadership that came together to say, in the wisdom of the moment and given the context of this transition, they have to throw it open. Why, in principle, recognizing the validity, authenticity of zoning as a formula for power sharing? That is number one. Number two, I talk about political prophecy in the sense that when I embraced Bala Mohammed earlier on, a lot of people were in big trouble to say, why are you who persuade others to talk about the Southeast presidency is now switched over to somebody from the Northeast? And I said, because it's a rearguard battle for me. I know that the southern comrades of the West and the South will betray their comrades of the Southeast. Politicians are not moralists. Cultural persuaders like Ohaneze, Pandef, and Afenifere, we speak with passion, but they don't decide the fate of parties. Neither do they determine the outcome of party decisions. I know that politicians think about today, about what they get out of the political bargain. In essence, no southwestern or southern person will yield an inch for anybody from the southeast in recognition of that affirmative action. When that happens, there's a prospect that somebody from that southeast will not pick the presidency, the ticket of the party. Why don't I, earlier on, foreseeing this decision, down the line, stick with a progressive voice from the north, who has shown over the years his sense of inclusivity. 2007, 2010, Bala Mohammed led the charge of doctrine of necessity that made Jonathan a southern minority president, vice president, a president. 2019, 2020, he led a charge in the party to create the framework to say, we lost this election 2019 because of 1, 2, 3 factors. Going forward, we need to revisit the issue of zoning. At worst case scenario, the southeast and the northeast, two depressed zones in terms of presidential power, we should be giving special attention. I saw through that and said, that's a work, that's the mind of a patriot or somebody who understands the dynamics of power. Let me rally around him now, when it is not too late. When it is too late, the common trend in politics is, had we known. I wish every contestant in the field the best of luck. And I wish a level playing field for everybody to canvass vote among the delegates. But at the same time, in so doing, you must stick with a choice you believe will not only mainstream his own people, but their own people into the bargain.
Yeah, and I know that some of you Igbo intellectuals are actually angry about the PDP because you have been saying that, look, the Southeast has invested so much into the PDP that you have thought that the Joboliskuzo will be given the 2023 ticket almost on a platter of gold. But eventually, you have seen what has played out, and we have the likes of Peter Obi, we have the likes of Ayim Pius Ayim, and so on. There are so many of them there.
Sambo.
Why don't you build a consensus around one of them and still push forward? Why would you still go with the Bala Mohammed?
Sambo, in politics, I used to talk about rhetoricization of political conversations. I used to do that years ago. As you get older, you leave flourishes of thought and discourse and speak truth as it is, raw and unvarnished. The North did not betray the Southeast in this bargain for the presidency 2023. The Southeast was betrayed ab initio long time ago by the Southwest and the South-South. It's in plain sight, but nobody seems to see it. If the South-South and the Southwest components of the PDP and APC, for that matter, should yield comprehensive ground to the Southeast alone in the formula of affirmative action, as happened 1998-99, when 3 political parties selected 2 Yoruba candidates, Southwest candidates. Nobody in the North, including Bala Mohammed, my preferred candidate, will ever put his feet in the ring. But because politicians don't think in terms of a broad, grand vision of inclusion, they think in terms of the moment of power, the glory and pageantry of it. Therefore, why would they give space to somebody in the Southeast who may not have contributed so much to the growth of the party, or the founding of the party, or nurturing the party in moments of crisis and darkness? In that sense, it's an open field. And I knew in that open field, a lot of people from the Southeast will be disadvantaged for so many historical factors we can't even go into here now. For me, rather than waste time in a naive, emotional participation in the political process that lead me nowhere, I will select somebody, a Bala Mohammed, who Abidisha demonstrated. And this when we come to the part of the conversation, how the talks have been going on, a vision, Nigeria first vision that is compelling, that actually has a boldness that speaks to every region, to every zone, to every state, in the manner they love to be spoken to, with equanimity of heart and with singularity of purpose.
Yeah, we'll be coming to that.
I saw through that and I said, because I'm very close enough to him, beyond the realms of politics, I said, if my people will be shortchanged by the brothers and sisters in the South and the Southwest, let me rally around him now before it is too late. And
I'm interested in knowing if the call for, or the clamor for a Southern presidency is dead. So it's everyone to his or her tent.
Not South zoning formulation is false binary. In the sense, I say they on studio here, in the sense that you are concealing and deflecting so many tensions in each broad geography. The North is not one geography, for God's sake. Neither is the South. In that sense, you are actually imputing, or somebody else out there is imputing, that I from the Southeast will be accommodated with an emerging hegemony of the Southwest. And if after Obasanjo's 8 years and Oshibajo's 8 years, another Southwestern presidency is enough for me from the Southeast, because we are from the South. Not minding the unique nature of the cultural contestations around demography, around value systems, around progressive credentials in politics and economy and so on. In a sense, while we are building a nation state in which all hands must be on deck, we must understand the peculiar diversities of each entity. The Southwest protects me in that broad sense of Nigeria, but doesn't protect me in a narrow sense of my own unique culture, history, and civilization. So shifting from North to South is not shifting to me. It could be to somebody else. It suits me to select a Bala Mohammed who will stay in office maximum 8 years. Now to select a Southwest person who, after that indeterminate journey of 8 years, go to the South-South, journeys up north to the Northwest that have already had it under Yaradua and Buhari, goes back again to the Southwest under another formulation. If you have a Bala Mohammed who is going to be passionate about justice, equity, and fair play, and said, I'm going to spend maximum 2 terms, after which my compatriots in the southeast, as depressed as we are in the northeast, should have a shot at it.
So are you going for a vice presidency under a potential Bala Mohammed candidacy?
It is the realm of speculation, because what they're dealing now is the primary season.
Yeah.
Contestation of
because you're already anticipating it, that if he gets the 8 years, for example, he wins the ticket and eventually wins the presidential election, he's going to have, to hand over to someone from the southeast. I mean,
in essence, speculating
it may
that
or may not happen.
In a sense, speculating that the next the vice president of the country will likely be the flag bearer of the other party. I don't think so. That's why the guy is in the field, toiling with the rest of them. So even if Bala selects somebody from some zone, it doesn't automatically mean that after him, that person becomes the president or the candidate of the party. But in sense, it's the vision of the president. If it's a President Bala Mohammed, he knows what justice is all about. He knows what equity is all about. He did it 2010. He did it 2020 when he led the party in terms of this vision of inclusion in that report. He knows that after 8 years, where is the next zone in the south that has experienced presidential power? Not the southwest, not the south-south, but the southeast. He will do the needful. That's why I'm sticking with him.
Yeah, and it looks like a lot of you Igbo intellectuals from the southeast are actually very angry at the political arrangements in Nigeria. Talking about progressivism, you see the southwest actually projecting itself as the most progressive part of the country. But from this political discourse that we are having, it seems you feel cheated by the southwest not willing to be able to, close ranks with the southeast and push it into the center.
I am compelled to litigate this matter yet again with you, because this is a platform that gives millions of voices out there opportunity to engage with us. If not, we've moved beyond the horse has bolted from the stable. We've gone beyond that. But I will speak on this matter once more. In politics, it's a savage context, not in terms of blood combat, but in terms of the immorality of it. Power is intoxicating. An unbridled adventure in power could be very hilarious for some people. If you tell somebody from the southwest, a Tinubu, for example, who believes that he's almost like a messianic mission to become president, that his brothers from the southeast haven't experienced this presidential turn, he's not going to bother with you. If you tell that to the vice president, that his uncle, Obasanjo, was a president for 8 years from that zone, and that people made sacrifices, and Alex Epueme, Echukwu Zife, and Obonyo two still alive. They gave up their mandate for the brothers from the southwest, and today, 20-something odd years, nobody is bothered about that. Or that the southeast actually paid the price, and maybe still paying the price for the Jonathan presidency, 2010, when almost as if the nation turned against him. The bulwark of resistance from the southeast, or unless it became politicized under the Ichwe, to give him that ground to stand on, to fight. But then somebody from the south-south, the same zone as the former president, is still sticking his neck out into this bargain. We understand that, and I'm not going to grab the spilled milk.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm coming.
We're having someone bearing that
I can't grab a spilled milk. Why will I do that? Abidisho said here, my rear guard is to select Bala Mohammed as my choice. Because if I did not do that, my people were not prepared to dissolve the false solidarity of the South. They rather focus on necessary energy against the North. I'm coming in focusing energy against the North, against maybe the candidates or aspirants of the North, without battling about the aspirants from the South and the Southwest. If the Southeast political strategists, political leaders, cultural influencers had said, there is no singularity in the Southern domain in terms of identity and culture and civilization. Therefore, if you cannot from the South yield space for us, how can we confront those from the North? If the Southwest PDP, Southwest APC, South-South PDP, South-South APC will come together with us to say, let us create a wholesome Southern solidarity that is going to propel the Southeast presidency. Nobody in the North will come out. But they didn't do so. So rather than focusing on that
how about the Southern governors? I mean, you had the Southern governors forum where they reached a conclusion and all of that.
Treachery, even from the Southern governors, which is not my point of litigation here. The focus is on why is Bala Mohammed, what is Atiku? That is not the question. The question is, if you can't put a certain house in order, politicians and political players and activists and strategists like us who see the future, we don't want our people, because if Bala Mohammed secures the candidate of the ticket of the party, of course he's going to open the flanks, the domain of his infrastructure to say, let everybody from the southeast, from the south, from the southwest, from the north come into that. Already there's an Udenta who has been from day one screaming at the rooftop, this man is my man because he's the best choice for the party and the best choice for the country. That means my people will not be marching to that portal.
Yeah. Well, Bala Mohammed is not the only one from the Northeast. I mean, we are also surprised why some of you Igbo intellectuals are surrounding the likes of Atiku Abubakar and still going around with him to actually converse. Sambo, it looks like this decision to go to the Northeast rather than any other part of the country seems very strong.
First and foremost, you know me very well. We've conversed for years. I first theorize my premise. I construct my political standing and ideological and intellectual parameters. I don't speak for anybody. Neither will I speak for any other campaign. I speak for the Bala Mohammed campaign, and I speak for myself, who is involved with it. I theorize this framework that North-South zoning is binary, false binary. And if you do not, if you conceal and deflect the tensions, multiple tensions within the geographies of the South, and then tell us that in an amorphous, indeterminate form, a Southwest presidency suits me rather than a Bala Mohammed presidency, I said, false. Nobody has pushed back on that argument. And since we put that in out there, a lot of folks out there have taken from a king, from you and I. Atiku's position was out there, deposited well, and we cease campaigning. If anybody from the Southwest ceases to campaign, no response from anybody. Ojikan is the latest entrant. Fanika Ode,
I read his own thesis about
everybody saying, because I provided intellectual stimulation and the plank on which to graft a compelling argument.
Yeah, so we could see Ojuzo Kalu asking the Senate President Ahmed Lawan to come out because, according to him, the Southwest and South-South have cheated the Southeast. So someone from the Northeast should come out.
I pose to you, beyond politics, if I have a Bala Mohammed as my president from the Northeast, that will mainstream the Southeast and possibly yield the president to us after him, why would I select somebody from the Southwest after Obasanjo and Oshibanjo in a journey that is indeterminate and amorphous in nature? It doesn't make any sense at all. That's why I said, as a proud Southeast son, I will not inaugurate and sustain that inauguration of a Southwest hegemony. Just like anybody in the North should not sustain the inauguration of a Northwest hegemony. The Northwest is not the beginning and the end of the North.
Okay.
And North is stay fraught with multiple geographies, multiple identities and demographics.
Very interesting indeed. I'll ask you to hold on there. We'll go on the short break. And when we come back, I'll talk about how I'm interested to know what sort of response you've got throughout the country as you've been touring, getting presidential aspirants to meet with your own aspirants, and then, of course, meeting with the delegates. I mean, because I went around the country myself and I saw so many things. You're still watching the Horizon TV. When we return, the conversation continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Horizon TV, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the conversations. I'm Sumner Sambo, and my guest is still a political strategist and social scientist who is also the spokesman of the Bala Mohammed campaign organization, Professor Udenta O, and we've been taking a look at the main opposition People's Democratic Party and the politics of that opposition party ahead of 2023. Let's talk about the main opposition party, the PDP. How betrayed do you think that the people of the Southeast are following the failure of the party to stick to its zoning formula?
Well, if you ask a lot of people across the party, I mean, my passion for the presidency from the South is undiminished. But I'm a practical person and I'm a realist. And it's that realism that led me to the Bala Mohammed camp. From day one. And so, if you think in terms of the sense of betrayal, then you must locate it, in the context of history and then the contemporary experience and exposure we have. Is it betrayal from the South-South? Or from the Southwest, or from the North, or from the party itself as an infrastructure, okay, as a domain of negotiation of differences? As I told you earlier, 37 members of that committee came from 37 states and FCT. That means each has a voice. I don't think they talked about a majoritarian decision. They say it was a unanimous decision of the committee. That's why it was easy for the NEC to reach that conclusion quickly. That means all the members of that committee from the South-South to the Southeast and the South, West, all agreed for the moment, let it be thrown open. Maybe because of strategic error on the part of the party in selling ticket, selling open the form,
people buying tickets ahead,
and then screening everybody. And then at the same time, what will you tell people? You've already screened, who have spent so much money, not just buying the forms and so on, but building the infrastructure, getting organized their campaign personnel, and then all manners of logistic deployments. Yeah. So maybe in principle, when you respect honor that principle of zoning and the specific modality for rotation of power, you concede the peculiar nature of this particular transition. That we actually mute that sense of betrayal the Southeast people should feel. Going forward, lessons are learned. Emotion doesn't drive political outcome, neither does sentiment or passion alone. The head must always rule the heart for you to succeed in what they are doing. If I pivot from that head ruling the heart to the main campaign, you ask me, what has experience been in the field?
Yeah, and that's where I'm actually going to. Since the decision, I mean, with some presidential aspirants moving on, the zoning issue has died down, and then everyone is going to get the delegates. What's been your experience going around the country with your principal,
my experience is amazing. Senator Bala Mohammed is a ball of fire. And this is a fire that could barely be contained or quenched. For one, he has a track record of dislodging incumbents. 2007, he retired from the civil service and then ran for election as a senator. And two-term governor who wanted the same seat was crushed by the bleakness he unfolded by his people. The passion for him, very infectious. And not only did he win, he ensured that there was mandate protection. He retrieved his mandate, sought on that mandate, and delivered that mandate to the doctrine of necessity 2010. 2019, he went again to contest for the governorship against an incumbent who has spent only one term, who is desirous of seeking a second term. He dislodged him. And not only did he dislodge him, he retrieved his mandate. Painstaking effort, robust energy, retrieved that mandate. PDP needs somebody who will not only win election, who will not cry foul that my mandate was stolen, who will retrieve the mandate successfully.
So he will dislodge the ruling
He's
party.
Actually a dislodger of incumbents. He not only dislodged governors, he dislodged the party there. And I saw that in the field. 31 states I traveled with him. There was a conversation between him and a number of the aspirants from the north and the south not to go to those states where they all come from, which makes a lot of sense. It's a family conversation. But for the 31 states, I was there on ground with him. Sometimes three, 4 states in a day, non-stop. It's amazing that a politician could connect to the people and with the people in the manner he does. And I'm not exaggerating. There are many politicians, this is my 6th presidential campaign from 1999, even though I did a few little things, 92, 98 and so on, but 1999, it's my 6th campaign. I've seen plastic politicians, over made up politicians, over constructed image and person of politicians, politically correct. What they say, what they shouldn't say. Bala Mohammed said to Bala Mohammed, let's reap from the heart, why guided by his head. And the people are not foolish. The delegates are smart people. You can come with all manners of excuses and all manners of enticements. They know that their head will read the heart.
And the enticements are also coming from the old principal too.
I'm just saying that you have somebody who not only connects with the people, but somebody.
Is he enticing the delegates too? I'm interested to know that, because I mean, we've heard that delegates are being enticed, being given all sort of goodies and all of that. What are the chances of Bala Mohammed emerging in a contest where Atiku is there? Some people are saying that Atiku should have the first right of refusal. I want you to talk about that.
That's a story that is speculative. I don't know about the intention. What I'm talking about is that when you see a politician who is of the people and by the people and for the people, you don't make mistake about it. When Bala speaks about his Nigerian first agenda, he's absolutely very clear about inclusivity, about togetherness, about passion for the country. When he speaks about even the micro issue that divide our people but that should unite them, when he talks about renovation of the country, even restructuring, even community policing, even retooling the security architecture and peace architecture of the state, when he talks about what he did in FCT as the most effective and impactful minister of all times, the records are there. When he speaks about
what exactly is the policy thrust of his decision to contest for the 2023 election? And because, for example, Buhari, you can actually see that he focused on corruption, focused on security, insecurity. I can tell you. And then, of course, the economy.
Bala was the first to launch a comprehensive blueprint called Nigerian First, which we distributed to all the critical stakeholders, the BOT, the Council of Former Ministers, the NWC, the Senate caucus, the House caucus, the presiding officers. That vision is a compelling document, it's a contract with the people.
What does it say, for example, on issue of fuel subsidy? Should we remove fuel subsidy?
I can break it down for you. I can break it down for you. You'll be shocked to know that the first element there is knowledge. He believes in a knowledge-based economy and a knowledge-based system and knowledge-based solutions. That's what he did in FCT. He believes in leveraging on the best people available to drive development and re-engineer and re-renovate Nigeria in economy, in poverty reduction, education possibilities, in security there, foreign relations, etc. He believes that he may not be the best because he's humble. But he said, I'm among the best. The best may not have come out. But I'm going to look for the best in every field of human endeavor. That human endeavor is one infrastructure rebuilding. That's what he did in FCT. In Bauchi, the president is actually there today in Bauchi, or send somebody there in Bauchi there to do what? To cut tapes in various fields of infrastructure building. He's passionate about infrastructure. You know why? Through infrastructure, you can re-energize an economy. It can expand the range of the economy. It can include the youth in that economy. It can open opportunities for job creation.
Yeah,
that's number one.
I'm interested to know how he will tackle unemployment, because the unemployment rate keeps going on. I mean, we just heard recently it's 35%.
You know what he said?
Although the official figure we are hearing is 33%, but some others are saying that's
you know what the knowledge-based economy means? You must leverage on those cutting-edge technologies that the youth are persuaded to embrace, which you don't find in the traditional economy. Internet of Things. For example, artificial intelligence, use algorithms to expand the range of businesses. And the young folks are much more keen and excited about these possibilities there. You're going to put millions through these kind of ventures. But at the same time, he talks about wastage, the kind of money people waste in terms of procurement. And he keeps repeating an example. Building a road or rebuilding or expanding a road from Abuja to Kaduna, Kano, 800 billion. But he can do it 150 billion. What will you do with the remaining 600 billion? Is to invest it in the economy. It's to stimulate industries, capacity utilization. He has all that figured out in the Nigerian
we just hope that experts are not the ones who are drafting all of this into a policy document.
Let me tell you,
that may later be denied by their principal. We saw the APC doing all this sort of, policy documents being brought to play later on. It's difficult for the
if you're not tested
to agree on it.
If you're not tested, it could happen. But he's been tested. As I said, and on record, the best performing minister or governor in a micro Nigeria. This Kubo Expressway you're talking about, this airport expanded road, how many districts, 14, including Katangbe expansion, including Gusape, including all manners of, look at Centenary City, which is almost follow. Look at the World Trade Center. Where do I start? He had delivered that, and he actually weaned FCT away from federal allocation. He improved the IGR, set up the revenue board, expanded these open spaces where you have the synergies and so on for advertising. The list goes on. So if he could do it in FCT here with modest resources and was actually making surplus return to the government itself, and in Bauchi, not an oil producing state, I spent weeks in Bauchi touring facilities. Before I got myself engaged, he said, as a friend, do not believe me. Go and see for yourself. And I saw in education, in healthcare, in housing, in the water system with the president is commissioning today, he has exceeded expectations. Indeed, his people do not even want him to leave, to come to Abuja. But the pressure and the persuasion of the wider Nigerian domain, where he can bring his case site to bear in developing this country, is very compelling.
Despite all this that you're saying, we have heard that Bala Mohammed has also purchased a governorship form. In case he doesn't win the presidential primaries, he will go back to become a governor. Does it mean that he doesn't stand the opportunity of emerging?
There seems to be some whisper. Now you brought this kind of whispering campaign out. Let me take you down.
Is it true? Can you confirm that he has bought governorship form?
Let me take you down memory lane in answering your question. The INEC regulations and the party-specific regulations, not only of PDP, APC, recognize the need for even dual involvement in different electoral sects. You know why? Bala Mohammed is a winner. If he didn't purchase the form for governorship as a first time governor, I would advise him to. You know why?
Why?
To save the state. If he wins the nomination as the flag bearer of the party, whoever is the candidate there is automatic show-in. It's a walk in the park because the overbearing influence he has as the leader of the party for that moment, leading the campaign, will deliver the seat. Assuming God forbid, because everything is about God, he didn't pick the ticket, and goes back as a governor, the seat is safe for PDP. It was safe in Imo for APC when Rochas was in Lagos 2014 to pick up a form and contest for presidency. Went back again and became a governor second time. In 2019, Tambuwa, who is in the race now, was the first time governor, was in Port Harcourt against Saraki and Atiku, did the second term. The party is wise. It's got nothing to do with your chances, whether they're bright or not. It simply means that if you win the presidential nomination of the party benefits from that state. If you don't win it, the party benefits.
President Bukola Saraki.
I don't know about any. I speak only of the Saraki. I speak only of the Bala Mohammed campaign.
I want us to get back to the politics of Nigeria. The North and the Southeast have always played a very good politics of alliances and then coming together. Right from the First Republic, we saw Tafawa Balewa and Nnamdi Azikiwe. And then in Second Republic, we saw an Alex Ekweme and Shehu Shagari all teaming up. Where did the Southeast get it wrong in the Fourth Republic that they couldn't actually form such an alliance to become vice president?
In a sense, they didn't get it wrong. When Bala Mohammed, Senator Bala Mohammed toured with us the Southeast, in Anambra, in Enugu, in Ebonyi, and Abia State, Imo is only one left we're still going to visit. He reminded them about that. I'm an inclusive bridge builder. I take the 6 zones as my own. If I'm the president, I'm their father. But there's a uniqueness of experience we share together, the Northeast and the Southeast, particularly not just the broad North. That Tafawa Balewa from the Northeast and Azikiwe from the Southeast came together to build what a consensus of a sort that stimulated that First Republic Renaissance period and engendered a structural and institutional foundation for the first democratic exercise or experiment. It was cut short with the coup d'etat. In 79, Zik only tried to do that kind of experiment, but this time with the Northwest Shagari, and they had an alliance with his own party. The Fourth Republic was a product of a very, very traumatic political moment. The June 12 annulment, Abiola's death, incarceration, and then Abacha died too in office. And as I said here, when you play with the heart alone and not with the head, which is important sometimes to do in politics, you may lose out somewhere down the line. Ezife could have been the candidate of AD, not Falaye. At this, I read one statement described to Falaye that now said he beat us. He didn't beat Ezife in Abuja. Ezife stepped down for him honorably. He could have won the election. Igbo could have simply resisted whatever fought by the military establishment to build that Obasanjo presidency. The end is back when it was his turn. Obonionu could have simply rebelled against the decision of the party to dump him. So they simply put their eggs and said, we believe in Nigeria. We want others to reciprocate. But there was no reciprocation today. That means, in a sense, they lost out not because they didn't try enough to be in Nigeria or be included. But Banana Mohammed is saying, your time will come. I'm going to run an inclusive, fair-minded, just government. And I recognize the uniqueness of the Northeast and the Southeast experience in Nigerian politics. While I respect the diversities of the countries and the multiple geographies, and not the fault lines, are we privileged on this old standing historical arrangement in order to ensure that their people are not excluded? But I has gone further to even talk about, say, subjects that are even taboo, that even this banditry issue of IPOB, one urban nation, the product of this governance and exclusionary politics, of bigotry. Okay, now, if you place this kind of argument you're talking about, where people feel included, not just at the level of presidency, you talked about the entrepreneurial spirit of the Southeast, of the skill set. You talk about the, okay.
I even saw him singing Christian songs at some point in time, and when you see politicians can do anything just to get the vote.
No, it's not true, Sambo. When you see Bala singing a song, watch his meaning. I say was close with him, even when he spoke in Hausa in almost all the states in the north. Sometimes he speak English, but mostly in Hausa. You see the passion. And again, he's a party man. As a minister, he supported the party. All the state chairman of the party asked those. Somebody bring them on studio here. The period was a minister there. What happened to their lives? All the speakers across the parties, multi-party, see, all the members of the NWC. He was not investing for the future like today to say from Kogi, from Kwara, from Plateau, where he will win the delegates anyway. From Northeast, apart from the PDP state, where he's supporting the party. Northwest. He did it because that is who he is, humane. And the people know, and they recognize that humanity in him when they see that.
Okay, you raised one critical issue. As a political scientist, you were trying to make a point that the Northwest seems to be lording it over other geopolitical zones in the North. And so, in this instance, the Northwest should try to support the Northeast to emerge, probably to support your own. Do you think that the Northwest and the Southwest, because they have, the higher populations, seem to be lording it over other geopolitical zones, and then we need to rethink how they use their political weight and population weight to want to, force people to go with them?
Can I nuance it? Even though I speak for the Bala Mohammed campaign and I speak as a passionate Nigerian patriot. In my earlier conversation with you, I talked about not going to litigate the geography and demography of the North. I cited that as an instant to show a putative, growing inauguration of a Southwest hegemony, even a creeping South-South hegemony, has been replicated in the North with an emergent, historically sustainable Northwest hegemony. I stop and rest my case there. It's for the entities in the North to know whether that sense of holistic North that monolithic knot without visible and invisible fault lines and fractures are real. And whether somebody from the Northwest should keep on doing it like as a Madu Bello, like a Shagari, like a Yaradua, like a Buhari, or whether the Northwest should, like the Southwest, take a cue. But even majoritarian rule sometimes becomes problematic. That is why countries like Switzerland have this cantonate system, where the minority have as powerful a voice as the majority, where the minority decision in parliament,
to make sure that there's cohesion,
and even in the US, where they find electoral college mechanism, so that the big states like Texas, New York, and California do not lord it over Wyoming, or Tennessee, or Maine, or these other smaller states. So you find a mechanism of patchwork of democratic possibilities that will build together into a coherent whole. That's why I believe that the Bala Mohammed presidency is what the time is ripe for the party and for the country. Okay. Not only because of the sense of preparation.
May actually say that we have President Buhari being a Fulani. Why should we support another Fulani to take over? Because these are the sentiments.
Let me quickly talk about that. One can say, what has the Fulani people as a community and the masses, not the elite, has the poverty reduced in the north? Is the country not one of the poverty capitals of the world? Has the marriage system improved better? Are they used in that conversation and inclusion into political, economic, and cultural life? Have women been mainstreamed, gender issues into developmental processes and so on? I do not think the answer is positive.
Yeah,
I'm coming. It is this issue of profiling people and communities that could lead to genocidal possibilities in 66.
But these are issues that we talk about every now and then, even religious issues. If we have had a Muslim president, shouldn't we be having a Christian president?
The point I'm making is this.
Considering our
Yes, I understand, but at the level of our conversation, intellectual strength and solidity and profundity of delivery must count for something from the raw masses at the level of articulation. In the 60s, there was a cry of Igbo domination. A coup occurred January, and they said, it was an Igbo coup. Not a coup of 5 people or 7 people or 10 people. We don't even know where they come from in terms of the vision. But it became an Igbo problem, not a coupist problem. That Igbo problem led to pogroms, led to civil war. I'm not going to litigate that now. So when they keep talking about Buhari and Fulani, and mostly talk about bandits who are terrorists, who bear arms and destroy people's homes and abduct them, we must isolate criminalities and terroristic conduct from communities of people who are peaceful, who are part of Nigerian space and part of the patriotic momentum of the country. Same with the South, same with every part of the country. That's why we will not stand to engage in a conversation that profiles communities on the basis of the lack of performance of the champions of those communities.
These are conversations we are hearing on the street as journalists.
I understand.
But as we try to round off this conversation, I want you to talk about the chances of the PDP. Do you think PDP as a political machinery can win election in this country, considering how the APC has become a behemoth?
I can tell you right away. PDP delegates will vote with their head. Mark today, the heart of PDP delegates, some of them, may not be with Bala Mohammed. A substantial number will be with him. But with the head, not only the majority, but a compact, solid majority be with him. You know why? He's a winner. He's a go-getter because he's effervescent. He has a force of energy. I don't see in any other candidate. If you like, I'm coming. Of course, not only will he defeat them, he will crush them democratically, and he get that mandate for the party and for the country.
Are you being too optimistic?
I'm not being optimistic because, as I said, I last traveled with a politician 8 years ago. That's 8 years for me to process what I did in the 5 previous campaigns. This is unique. This is extraordinary. I don't speak in exaggerated terms or hyperbolic terminologies. This time around, I want to throw caution in terms of narrative to the wind and say, for PDP to win this election, to dislodge APC, Bala Mohammed is the key to unlocking that victory.
And one very quick one. During the 2014-2015 presidential elections, we had PDP being called a corrupt party, full of corrupt individuals here and there. With the latest developments coming from the APC-led federal government, what do you make of
Sambo,
all those things
said it
there?
all. Even the two who were pardoned, the trial started 12 years ago under the watch of PDP presidents. It only concluded with this one. Not one single political convicted person. All witch hunt, all media trial. Only low-level 419s and the Yahoo boys and Cortis and so on been tried. It's amazing with the Attorney General, 80 billion. And for that Attorney General to be picked up by the EFCC of this APC government is not only shocking, it's obscene. And that obscenity of corruption, of graft, of sleaze, it defines the moment of this government.
And how do you think the ruling party will be campaigning? What will he be telling Nigerians?
What will tell Nigerians? I will not reveal the PDP strategy. Because remember what Balamed always will say. Senator Balamed will tell you, if I win this ticket, I will win for the party. If I don't win the ticket, I will stand with the party. I will support the candidate who the party has chosen. And once that is done, I can bet you the answer to our question becomes very clear.
Okay, we must thank you so much, Professor Udenta O. Udenta is a social scientist, a scholar of repute, and spokesman of the Bala Mohammed campaign organization. We can only wish you well alongside your principal as you go to face all these other top contenders in the PDP primary.
It's always a pleasure.
Just next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
Next Saturday, Sunday.
That's when we'll be hearing all the results. And we'll still have you some other time.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Sambo. Honestly,
thank you so much,
yeah.
Professor Udenta. Well, that's how it's been for this edition of the Arise interview. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Sumner Sambo.